How great can a movie be? To begin with, I apologize to any Muslim watchers who might mistake my title as an equivalency between the actual 5 pillars and the self-help in this movie. T.E. Lawrence's autobiography about World War I bears the somewhat cheeky title, and I think it's a helpful way to divide up the massive film based on that book. The declaration of faith, regular prayer, tithing, and fasting are shared by me in my Christian faith. Pilgrimage is practiced by a lot of people, but not by me as a non-Muslim. So please don't think I'm making light of anything in this video.
Recite, then, as much of the Quran as may be easy to you.
I bring up Lawrence of Arabia a lot, partly because it's one of my absolute favorite films, and partially because it defies a lot of what I want from a movie, and it works. The primary message is that it strikes the heart. The lessons of this movie transcend biography or history. Frequently, Lawrence is reminded by his allies that he treads a thin line near blasphemy.
You'll cross Sinai?
Why not? Moses did.
Moses was a prophet and beloved of God!
Or even steps over it. But he also makes leaps of faith that make Indiana Jones look like a wimp. He crosses a terrible desert. He recrosses it to save a man that he later has to execute. He walks across Sinai with 2 teenagers, one of whom doesn't make it. He pushes his army of irregulars to beat the well-equipped Brits to Damascus. Most of his gambles pay off.
50 men.
50? Against Aqaba?
If 50 men came out of the Nefud, there would be 50 men other men might join.
He may be irreverent, but he, by his works, will show you his faith. In something. One thing Lawrence never latches onto is the material gains to be made from the war. Auda Abu Tai gets it. General Allaby and Prince Faisal definitely get it.
It seems we're to have a British waterworks with an Arab flag on it. Do you think it was worth it?
The fictional Colonel Brighton gets it and is disgusted.
Excuse me, sir.
For Lawrence, the spoils of war are mostly just collateral that allow him to pay his forces. He's not an idealist in every sense, but he's also willing to let the others play their hand if it lets him get what he wants. And what he wants is autonomy for his friends, which he fails to deliver, and fame, which he gets in spades. In some ways, Lawrence gives his all while the rest give their 10%, but Lawrence expects something back. Where Lawrence really falls apart in this film is his religion. He honestly fancies himself as a messiah.
Didn't you know? They can only kill me with a golden bullet.
He frequently declares his own faith in himself, which horrifies yet slowly seduces his followers. And he struggles to differentiate between himself as a very fallible man and himself as a savior.
What are you looking for?
Some way to announce myself.
Be patient with him, God.
He prays to himself.
Signed, in His Majesty's absence, by me.
The main positive thing I take from this film is simply mind over matter.
Oh! It damn well hurts.
Certainly it hurts.
Well, what's the trick, then?
The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts.
This is the key to the entire film. Lawrence sees the other cultures and says to himself, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too.
You do not drink?
No.
I'll drink when you do.
I am Bedu.
He gets leaner. He understands the honors poured on him by the Harif, and he goes so far as to think, until proven wrong, that he could become an Arab himself, even as open as the Arabs are portrayed in this film. This is pure Schopenhauer, paraphrased for our ease by Albert Einstein. A man can do as he will, but not will as he will.
A man can do whatever he wants. You said.
He can, but he can't want what he wants.
The pilgrimage for Muslims is to reach Mecca. For Lawrence, an Englishman with sketchy relations to the local culture, despite his deep knowledge, pilgrimage is a movable feast. Most of this movie is about pushing to a new location. always worth dying for. Wadi Rum, Aqaba, Cairo, Damascus. Damascus is the big one, described in elegiac terms by Prince Faisal.
It is beautiful, is it not?
But when they get to Damascus, everything gets bogged down in bureaucracy and misery. What Lawrence was aiming for doesn't work because he spent so much time on the fight that he didn't have the chance to prep his allies for what ruling means, and the British are perfectly happy to let them all fail. Maybe I should mention that General Allenby was far more sympathetic to Lawrence in real life, and vice versa. But this is fiction, and I'm talking about a movie, not about the realities of World War I. Movie-wise, it's startling that Prince Faisal is not more involved once Damascus gets retaken, but his absence gives space for Lawrence to come to resolutions with Audu Abutai and Omar Sharif's Ali, lonely resolutions, where movie Allenby hangs Lawrence and his friends out to dry.
Rum-tee-tum, tee-tum, tee-tum.
As I've said before, Lawrence of Arabia really works because it's about multiple versions of the same man, several of which are in his own mind. He's weak, he's invincible. He's a darling of the media and the Arab revolt. And when the war gets ugly, and when our war is not ugly, he latches onto the underbelly of the Arabs to force victory. But the main thing that brings him down is his belief in himself that he's the Messiah, and the British and Arab conviction that the last thing they need is a Messiah.
We are equally glad to be rid of him, are we not?
I hope I'm not painting this film in too pessimistic a light. It's a film full of humor and adventure and characters that I've latched onto for about 30 years. It's not optimistic about war or diplomacy or Americans or the British or the many Arab ethnicities. But I never come out of this movie feeling sad, just forewarned. Forewarned about politics, war, and self-esteem, which drives both heroism and villainy in this movie.
I have been in Dara now for 3.5 years. If they posted me to the dark side of the moon, I could not be more isolated.
Lawrence comes from a messy background, overeducated, and an unsuitable bastard child.
He didn't marry my mother.
It seems to me that you are free to choose your own name then.
Yes.
He's worming his way up through the ranks, possibly thanks to the protection of his friend Dryden. When given the chance to explore, he leaps at it, and that early scene with William Potter contains all the DNA needed for the rest of Lawrence's journey.
The trick, William Potter, is not minding that it hurts.
Lawrence of Arabia is about being the best possible human, and watching out for thinking that you've arrived.
Truly, for some men, nothing is written unless they write it.
Nothing is written